Hello everyone, my name is Rahetalius, and today's a special day because our guest is super special. With us today is the creator of Vauban Heirloom himself, Lua Luminary.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here, Lua, and thank you very, very much for making Vauban Heirloom, because we all know Vauban's dying from lack of cosmetics, plus the heirloom skin looks amazing. If you don't mind, I'd like to fire off a bunch of questions to pick your brain with. So let's start with a simple one. Who's your favourite Warframe?
It's a good question. If we're talking about my favorite Warframe to actually play, it would probably have to go to Harrow. In general though, my favorite Warframe is definitely Excalibur. He was my introduction to the game back in 2012, and I still hold a strong fondness for that early art direction.
What made you decide to get into making Warframe cosmetics?
Ever since I can remember, I've always been an artist and a fan of science fiction. I very much enjoy the creative process in general, and I frequently find myself daydreaming about various ideas in those types of settings. I have many old sketchbooks that are absolutely filled to the brim with all sorts of robots and weird monsters, and I was totally hooked with the aesthetic and the tonal direction of Warframe, especially early on. Michael Brennan was a fantastic artist, and he was a true visionary in the industry. And really, my interest in Warframe and subsequent involvement in any capacity at all is directly owed to him.
What was the first concept art you ever made, and how different is it from your work now?
I've been creating concept art, I think, as long as I've had my imagination. I love to build worlds and to think about how the inhabitants of those worlds would live and spend their time. Those sorts of ideas then inform me on how the setting would be influenced by the visual design of those characters, and some of the best ways to further explore the ideas of that setting through those character designs in and of themselves. Because I tend to think about things in this weird sort of way, I attach more easily to worlds than to actual characters, and I can get really invested in them to the point where I want to contribute to those worlds with my own set of ideas that follow my taste.
When you design a skin or cosmetic, what usually comes first? A theme, some kind of vibe, or specific detail you want to have?
This is another great question. The approach I take to design anything, really, is to first have a general idea that is unique to the character that I'm working on. This idea needs to slot into what already exists thematically for established characters and be strong enough to sell you the idea of that character on the visual component alone. From there, I try to think on how a strong silhouette could be created while working within those ideas. I would say that a strong silhouette is absolutely necessary for good design, and I spend most of my time there to ensure that the artwork has a good presence. This typically leads me to iterating pretty rapidly in a sketching phase, and I try not to spend more than 30 minutes on any one particular given sketch as a matter of principle.
Sort of a follow-up to the previous question, did you make Vauban Heirloom because you made the skin concept first and then decided to give it to Vauban, or did you first decide to make a cosmetic for Vauban and then work on the visuals?
It was definitely a choice to make an heirloom concept for Vauban first, and then a process of iterating on a few base ideas to flesh out how that would actually work for his character. Vauban is first and foremost a techie, but I also knew I needed to pay homage to his base design. I've always viewed Vauban as having an overcoat on account of his thicker base forms and coattails, so I believed it would make for a good design direction to play into those primary ideas and give him a cyberpunk-esque puffer, which would be contrasted with the more Asian-inspired warrior aesthetic of the first two heirlooms that were actually created by Minky.
How do you make something true to a Warframe aesthetic or identity, while still leaving your own fingerprint on it?
This is a very hard thing to do, and to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure I've nailed it yet. However, there are a few rules to keep in mind when trying to follow in the visual direction of Warframe. I always try to make sure that the primary forms in a work, or the ones that guide your eye, have a natural sort of flow to them. Warframe does not have many 90-degree angles, and follows more organic forms as a matter of principle. And it is also important to follow the rule of thirds, and not space out your details and lines evenly throughout a piece. Try to have your details and forms guide the observer's eye to visual clusters, where your shapes concentrate into denser mechanical details. This will lead to a design that naturally guides a viewer throughout the various individual forms that you've created. As far as placing my own fingerprint, I think that occurs pretty naturally whenever anybody makes art. We all have different sensibilities, and we aim to create things that we enjoy, which leads to unique visual identities and styles.
Do you take inspiration from other artists? Other forms of media or IPs? Real-world culture?
Some artists that I really look up to, in no particular order, are Michael Minky Brennan, Lucas Hug, Michael Skyers, Alberto Fernandez, Taz Adams, Nikita Leshakov, Carrie Black, H.R. Geiger, Marcus Lido, Shikai Wang, and John Blanche. I am heavily influenced by Warframe, Halo, and Warhammer. I try to think about any piece of art that I'm working on holistically, so if there are cultures that tie into that design, I do consider them.
Is there a detail in Vauban Heirloom, or any other concept you've made, that means a lot to you, even if players may or may not pay much attention to it?
Yeah, there actually is. Vauban's coat plays into many details that can be found on his base frame, even down to things people may not realize at first glance. I've made this a matter of principle for any heirloom design that I come up with, so try to see if you can spot all the various nods to the original Warframe designs in my work.
How has Warframe shaped you as an artist?
Warframe is actually what got me back into art in a serious way. When I graduated from high school, I left for the Navy, and I did not have as much time between my professional work and personal life for art. My skill set heavily eroded while I was serving, as I created far less artwork during my time there. I got into the habit of playing Warframe regularly in the time I did have off, and that is actually one of the ways I connected with my now best friend who I met while serving. The Tenogen program is actually the way I started to become more involved with Warframe in a professional way, if you can even call it that, and I made a ton of really bad art back then as my first attempts in a digital medium. To make a long story short, I met a ton of talented and supportive artists there who got me back into my creativity and working to restore my skill set. They helped to lead me down the path I'm currently walking, and I cannot thank them all enough.
While designing Vauban Heirloom or any other concepts, what challenged you the most, if anything?
I would say the hardest part of coming up with an heirloom concept for Vauban specifically was deciding at what point the jacket was too much. In the end, I just settled for it being absolutely massive as a centerpiece to catch your eye, and I'm pretty glad I committed to that direction.
If you could create a skin for any Warframe of your choice, with absolutely no limits or restraints, who would you pick and why?
I would create a skin for Excalibur in a heartbeat. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I would pour all of my passion and effort into that project. Because when it comes down to it, Excalibur is Warframe. He was one of the founding ideas of the project from its very inception, and the game would not exist without him. I would take that opportunity to create something as a love letter and tribute to the game, the amazing people who helped to make it, and the fans who keep it alive.
Do you have any advice for other Warframe artists or anyone that's interested in creating cosmetics or art in general?
This is going to sound cheesy, but it is absolutely true. Just keep it up. If you love it, do it. In doing it, try to better understand it, and in that understanding, truly express yourself. If your heart is in it for the right reasons, you will make great stuff.
Last question. What keeps you excited about continuing to create your art?
Part of my art journey has been trying to adapt to the digital medium and rekindle some of the skills that I thought I had lost. It's been very exciting to try to improve every day, and it's also rewarding to look back and see the ways that I can still improve. I think the opportunities that are presenting themselves to me have also really helped to reinvigorate me. I'm at a sort of crossroads professionally. It was always a dream of mine to be able to contribute to the games industry, and somehow that dream came true. I would absolutely pursue any further opportunities that the industry provides me.
Thank you for being here, Lua. And now we wait for it to be the 11th already. Thank you for watching.